Well, that was an unintended crash, but at least we are back now here. Let us continue on to where the quest is. Or rather, where the end of the quest is. That was most enlightening, especially the part with the lemon muffin. Actually, I was wondering, do you know of any other places famed for their cuisine? Limsa has the Culinarians Guild and many less than savory establishments. Would that I had time to visit. The more I learn of Aetherius, the more I wish we could spare it from the final days. Alas, Heidelin's orders are to flee, not to resist. If only there was some other way. Alright, Urianger. Prince, I trust thy time at Mariel Agronomics did bear fruit. Our own efforts, too, were rewarded. We now possess an embarrassment of educational riches. No doubt our guests' relentless pursuit of knowledge could occupy them and us for a fortnight. Alas, time is of the essence. Let us return to Charlian Hamlet forthwith. I shall gladly attend to each and every labyrinth there, should further questions within my power to answer arise. Ah. Alright, let us head down. Oh, and actually we can just hit up the 8th right. Sigh. Yes, Prince, that was indeed me verbalizing a sigh to express my emotional state. Do you want to know why? Because I saw the reconstructed environmental data for Aetherius at Logisticon Alpha. That's why. A forest so lovely and so leafy. Are all your forests like that? You should see the forest of the first. One was purple. Gasp, I say. With a star so wonderful, it comes as no surprise that you're reluctant to leave it behind. I was a fool to think otherwise, to assume that the moon was something worth being proud of. How ridiculous we must seem to you. Trying so hard, yet achieving so little. Not at all. Thy works are no less worthy of their uniqueness. I thought I heard tiny voices. Thancred. How didst thou fare? Oh, I was able to glean a fair bit from the researchers while helping to move their cargo. Preparations have proceeded without interruption here, despite news of the coming end. We have the forum's leadership to thank for that. That doesn't mean people aren't worried, though. Quite the opposite. Knowing disaster could strike at any moment, they hurry to complete their work, equally aware that a single error could be the difference between life and death. And we can hardly tell them there's no cause for concern. Perhaps not. Though aided by our goodly growing way, we may yet find other ways to lighten their burden. Me? Be of use to people? I'm honored you would think me so capable, but I'm not sure I'm up to the challenge. Nevertheless, I believe in thee. If you say so, I suppose it can't hurt to try. I passed someone mopping in the western plaza that looked to be in need of a helping paw. Perhaps you might start with him. "'Tis as good a place as any. Come." Alright, let's see what happens over here. Oh, moping, not mopping. I'm sorry. Oh, can I help you? It is you who would help me? Is my anxiety truly so obvious? A burden shared is a burden eased. Pray, tell us of thy troubles. Those little fellows do look like good listeners. I'm an engineer, you see, and what they say of the ship, that it's the sum of decades of Charlian ingenuity, that it's built with peerless Allegan technology, is all true, but... I know, that none of that's a guarantee. We've never before launched a starfaring vessel, let alone flown it in the great expanse. All the tests we've run have been on the ground. Only operational personnel and cargo will be aboard for the first voyage, but even so, if it fails us, what can we do? And if it doesn't, it could fall apart on the next flight, or the one after that. We've done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but it hardly matters. We thought the Aether Burner's design was flawless too, and look how that turned out. Thou art familiar with these most daunting technologies, and thus dost thou hold the power to allay his fears. Oh, I'm not sure about that, but well... Maybe you could tell me if there are any aspects of the ship's design that you're especially worried about. Our ability to walk about and perform our tasks, for one. I've devised a means by which to employ gravity, a spatio-temporal spell, to regulate the environment, but what if it's not strong enough? What if everyone floats away and begins crashing into things as soon as we've left the star? Ah, gravitation. Maybe I can be of help after all. Up there is not so different from down here, you see. The same rules apply. If you consider them as part of one great big cosmos rather than separate places. I suspect both parties shall find comfort in this conversation. Yet if that cred's tale be true, still others would benefit from insights born of experience. Might I prevail upon the Labyrinthos to attend them? An excellent idea, if I do say so myself. There is naught we'd like more than to ease the hearts of the fine people of Etheirys, and learn more about them while we're at it. Full glad am I to hear it. Gather thy companions and bring them hither. Prince, thou hast a gift for finding souls in need of succor. Pray seek thee out the distressed and the apprehensive, and inform them that help is at hand. I shall await them here, that I might introduce each to a suitable labyrinth. Oh, I do so look forward to that. A place for every Lockeret, and every Lockeret in their place. So it looks like we need to find 8 people. Apologies, but I am awaiting a delivery. Whatever it is, we'll have to wait. It seems this gleaner is too busy to chat, for his benefit or otherwise. There's one. Just leave me to my misery. The forum can appoint someone else. I apologize. I simply don't know what to do. How am I supposed to pilot the Ark if I'm already falling apart under the pressure? You know a starship pilot that I might speak with? Truly? Well then, there's no time to waste. They can help me prepare for this monumental task. I mean, really, all you gotta figure out is just your yaw, pitch, and roll, essentially. Is anything bothering me? Well, I've been loading cargo for bells now, so my back feels like a void spence played it as a piano. My feet and knees are drums and cymbals, too. This gleaner seems fine, if in need of a break. I don't know, maybe a bunny back rub would be nice for him. Consult our collaborators? I suppose that would be more effective than sitting here brooding. I'm attempting to calculate how much cargo we can consolidate into fewer trips. Should the Aether Burner make our original estimates unfeasible? But there's simply too many variables. I feel as if my brow will turn inside out. But perhaps our lunar associates will have more insight into how much weight constitutes too much weight for our purposes. Thank you for letting me know. My face? What's wrong with my... Ow! Perhaps I am a bit tense. I was tasked with ensuring that the proper fauna, and only the proper fauna, are brought with us to the moon. However, the suitability of a few species is still under debate, and I can hardly make the decision myself when I know so little about the environment up there. Including the Lockwerets in our discussions is a wonderful idea. I absolutely will, thank you. Perhaps their biology itself might offer some clue as well. Yes you idiot. Have you seen an envelope lying about? This imbecile refuses to give me the alchemic I ordered without that bloody slip of parchment. Unless your friends have a spell to make me remember where I dropped my damned envelope, I doubt they'll be more help than you, and you've already wasted enough of my time already. It would be unfortunate for all involved to inflict this man upon the Lockwerets. Blasted assistants, where have they gone off to at a time like this? Beg pardon, but I have not time for idle chit-chat. I need to reconfirm that ether levels are consistent throughout the vessel's machinery, and it seems I shall have to do so single-handedly. I swear, when I find those assistants of mine... The Labyrinthos are willing to help? Why didn't you say so? At least they won't moan about how they checked 24 times already and haven't slept in weeks. Lazy sods. Aha! Ha ha! The end of the world is nigh, yet the work goes no faster. Schedules are such temperamental things. Feasible one moment, utter bollocks the next. And yet, I've never felt so alive. This one is beyond your help. Only sleep can save her now. By the gods, my chest is tight. Am I dying? Is this what dying feels like? Oh, do pardon me. I didn't see you there. There is no cause for concern, I assure you. No cause for concern, even though we may need to depart at any moment, and if the hull I designed buckles under the strain, the entire vessel may explode on launch, claiming countless lives and dooming all mankind. But that is highly unlikely. Yes, highly unlikely. Highly... Our visitors can help me triple-check for structural flaws, you say? Why, that would be wonderful. I'm breathing more easily already. Three to go. 56 bunches of weed in the ground. Oh my goodness, what in the world is this? Eep, I'm not neglecting my duties, I swear. I was in need of a little break, you see, but then I found myself unable to relax, so I went on a walk and then I noticed these weeds and... Pleasant conversation partners and oh so fuzzy? Goodness me, that does sound like a much better way to relax. Apparently, some of them could be all the way out here. Okay, come on, where are the last ones? There's one. How might I help you? My, what a lovely idea. I too noticed people becoming rather tense, so I rushed out to pluck some fresh fragrant tea leaves. Now I only need to track down 100 or so cups. But don't you worry, I can manage. I hope your plan to cheer everyone up goes well. This woman is doing better than you are. Okay. Worries, worries. No, I believe I'm fine. Thank you. I've been confiding in my colleagues, and it's helped a lot. Can't recommend it enough. This researcher already has the support she needs. I still don't see anybody out there. Have you heard anything of what's on the moon? I have no doubt that we can make it up there, but the searching for a new star part of the plan sounds awfully vague to me. I've asked the forum, but they will only tell us that our collaborators have everything under control. Forgive me, but I don't feel particularly safe wandering through the sea of stars on gods know what made by gods know who. You mean to say I can speak with them directly? Amazing! I hope they like questions. Alright, one to go. Question is, where are they? Oh, right there, maybe. What am I thinking? The medical facilities on the ship, of course. I designed them with the assistance of our sages and Kairugans, but to imagine every illness or injury that one might face in the great expanse is beyond any of us, to say nothing of the effects that living out there indefinitely might have on the body. The crew from the moon? Why did I not think of that? Alright, looks like that's it. Let's find Urianger to the west. I'm surprised this is not the end of the quest. That was a long sequence there. Behold, Prince. Through thine efforts, word hath spread throughout Labyrinthos. Verily, to a far greater number than we anticipated, Living Way doth gather more Loporits as we speak. I shall assign, in accordance with their skills, that new bonds of friendship might be forged. Should greater matters require not thine attentions, watch over them, I prithee.
So much in, well, in forever.
Lively, isn't it? The town is abuzz. Everyone eager to meet with our friends from the moon.
Twould behoove you to consult with Sleeping Way. As our moon's pilot, his advice should be most pertinent.
Sleeping Way is the pilot? Oh, let's hope we don't crash into something.
I'm impressed. Truth be told, I struggle to tell one from another. No offense intended, of course.
None taken. After you and your friends left Mare Elementorum, we spent no small amount of time with your Urianger. Oh, the conversations we had. He told us all about Atheris, answered our every question, no matter how trifling or trivial. Look! Every page filled to the margins with knowledge. When I first arrived, I was struck by how little I knew. It was daunting. But then I realized that, were it not for Urianger and his teachings, we'd still be stuck on the moon, gazing at your world and wondering what we've been missing.
What would they think if they could see Urianger now? I dare say they'd be more than a bit surprised. And impressed, no doubt. Master Louisoix, Minfilia, Papalimo, and not to forget.
True, I suppose, but you still need help with, like, you still need to be piloting when you're departing and landing.
Oh there. Heard there was a visiting expert who we might bother with a few questions. I take it you'd be the one.
Yes, I am.
Oh, is this, the people he's been meaning to catch up with?
Wilson and Blovida, Sharlayan's foremost researchers in the field of teleportation magic, and Moonbreeder's parents.
Well, this is gonna be a somber moment.
It hath been some time. Tis good to see you in good health.
Likewise, old friend. Blovida and I were most honored to answer the call. Never expected this reunion, though, did we, dear?
Alfei, the nerve. Sending that letter, then running off to the gods know where. Do you have any idea how worried we were?
I'm sorry. 'Twas remiss of me not to deliver the news in person. No, more than that. 'Twas I who...
Our daughter was disillusioned after Master Louisoix left her behind. The day the scions called upon her was the happiest I'd seen her in years. She made her every choice of her own free will. No one could have ever forced her to do otherwise. Don't blame yourself for her death. Celebrate her life. You know that's what she'd want.
If there is one thing we resent you for, it was that we could not be there to mourn her with you. Reading the words you penned in that shaky hand, we must have cried as much for you as we did for her.
I'm sorry. I truly, truly am. I knew not what to say, knew not how to express my feelings. The poems and platitudes of wiser men, musings on sadness and loss, studied and memorized, and meaningless in the moment.
Silly boy. We are all powerless before such grief. Even now, try as I might, the words escape me. But in our hearts, we know, we always know.
I remember when you were young, how the lads teased you for choosing the company of books over others. Our moon didn't take kindly to that. Be nice to Urianger, she'd shout, and give them a walloping. No matter how many times we scolded her.
So we offered a suggestion. Rather than starting fights, why don't you be the bridge between Urianger and the others? She had to mull it over for a while, arms crossed, brow furrowed in intense thought. But from that day on, she never let you be alone. She'd drag you outside to play, pepper you with endless questions, read the same books you read, all to try and understand you that much better. I'm sure it was annoying and exhausting at the time, but she only ever had the best of intentions.
And look at you now, at the center of the crowd. The reason there even is a crowd, having brought these people together. You've no idea how proud we are.
To see the boy, our daughter, trusted and believed in more than anyone, grow into the man she always knew he could be. I can see her in you too. Feel her. She walks with you wheresoever you go. So thank you, Urianger, for being who you are.
This is a beautiful moment of closure for Urianger.
I think I can feel her too. The truth of her life. Not sorrow, but hope and love.
This moon breeder. She was important to him, wasn't she?
You could ask the man himself.
Oh, no. But watching this exchange reminds me how much I've yet to learn about your world. And its people.
You can live here your entire life and hardly learn a thing. And that's why it's too soon for this to end.
Alright, there's finally the end of the quest. But yeah, he never really had resolution on that. He just mourned her. And really, that kind of drove him in some of the decisions he made when dealing with the Warriors of Darkness and such. It's really nice to finally see him get some closure on that. Oh, Prince, be assured I am fine. I am full glad to see them, too, after so very long. Gladder still that it was in your company. As difficult as it was to accept their kindness, 'twould have been far harder had I faced them alone. Alright, new boots. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Labyrinthos. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so shall I remain to aid them as need be. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alizé. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing. Until later. My goodness, all these quests around. Over there, okay. Prince, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks, are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphonse should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. Deliver the crates of samples to Alphonse. We have 3 minutes to complete the task. I guess the question is going to be kind of what is the science plan going to be if launch is necessary and they're not done with what they need to do. Would the plan simply be then to look to the make sure people get on, and then because they know of the one in the Tower of Babel, as well as the fact that they probably have it tuned? Actually, no. Now that I think about it, that wouldn't work because Alisaie and Alphonse didn't attune. Alright, so maybe they could still take the Tower of Babel up. If they're still not done yet. Oh, you're helping with the crates? Wonderful. You can put that there, with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out this is a base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect. That should be everything. You carried all of that at once? Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh, hush, they're lighter than they look, and not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we're finished. Theopoldin is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance, at least. Considering where we are, we might even learn something interesting. Here's another chocobo keep. And Theopoldin is over there. God, it never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We brought samples from Charlian Hamlet, Series 110, to the crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I had expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fortunault's children, are you not? Alphino and Alice, at your service. You're well acquainted with Father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studium. I remember when you were yay high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly, it's been quite some time since we've met. 'Tis good to see you again, wielding your father's noliths, no less. You knew our parents when they were young? What were they like? Pray spare no detail. I should like nothing more than regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that, in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about each of you take one? Wait right there. You will find a forum representative wanting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alphino and Alice, I'm certain they will be back soon enough. Ah, over there. Are you not one of the scions of the 7th Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the Aether Burner. The nature of this paperwork is not a particularly well-guarded secret, but due to how dull it is to read, will nevertheless remain largely unknown. Theopoldin's paperwork. I was beginning to worry he had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you scions succeed. The Exodus is, without a doubt, the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, and so we must circumspect in all respect. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlian has ever been a nation of the curious. It would be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of truth. Lord Samuel, yeah, I would say probably starting tomorrow, there's a better chance that you're going to be able to get logged in, just because people are going to have their work schedules to worry about. Probably even a better chance on Tuesday. Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only need be delivered to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment. Also, Lord Samuel, I would recommend seeing if you can log in by 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's when I've been logging in, and there's typically, like, no queue at that point. We return, with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons. You will note, you both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out of your swaddling clothes, and... That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we'd asked to hear, to reiterate. Of course. I've known your father for so long. I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the Levier name garners such respect in Charlian is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Neunkreft's Hope, a lineage few can claim. I never thought much of it. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation, they were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. 'Tis why Neunkreft's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason, has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, Archon Louisois, looked not to Neunkreft's words, but his deeds. He asserted, in defiance of his peers, that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy, and the fall of civilizations that led him to conclude that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to his doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louisois lived by that personal creed, and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlian or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fortunato could not reconcile Louisois' deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunato agonized over this contradiction for much of his life. God's father. A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? Gods know Fortunato's a creaky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born, barely recognizable. He was with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say. Thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the form on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure those specimens you brought make it to the proper places, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Hail, you three! Graha, surely Kokol hasn't driven you out of the forge already? For better or for worse, no. However, he has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alzai and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, Prince? Can you spare the time? Of course. Perfect, this shouldn't take long. That was an interesting point to cut the quest, and then bring Graha in after. Yeah, Rooks, I agree with you. At some point, they've got to say it. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Kokol wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames in Kokol's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of ether being funneled to his furnaces. The flow of fire-aspected ether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part, then. We'll see you in Charlian Hamlet once the adamantite arrives, if not before. This way, then. Alright, to the south. Looks like we're coming up on the spot right here. The reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water-aspected ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, which would both rather not be drawn into the reactor itself, trust me. Can I ask you to put down any that draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Wait here if you would. Oh, down here, okay. Good point. Let me bring out Hadrid. true, but I think we're probably getting close to the end of this here. Or at least I hope we are. Did everything go smoothly out here? I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. Alright, catch you later, Lord Samuel. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Turcol will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. Part of this I shared with everyone, yet you, and only you, have been to Elpis. As we have established, refined adamantite is a product of Alag, of the Empire's twilight years, in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of the Algan's efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world, Dalamud, of course, being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Alag's empire to encompass the heavens and the stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist Ammon, who was... Did he remember his life as Hermes? I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Ascians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls like minds have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know with relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alag that allowed Ammon to resurrect Emperor Zande. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zande's return, Ammon provided these languid souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had not Zande been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Ammon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to instill the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Ammon was appalled by how those around him lived, but could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought that meaning, that hope, in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet, to reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, the promise of hope everlasting, that much I do understand. But enough musing for now. Why don't we see how Kokol is getting on? Well, with that, we have an Aetheryte to pick up here. Or rather to hit on our way back over there. And now we have a bit of a trek to the south still. It certainly is a trek, but it's not going to take too much longer. We're almost there. Here we are. Phew. I can feel those flames ablazing from here. Glad you found someone capable, Graha, but there's not much left for you lot to do. Unless you can conjure up that refined adamantine any faster. I do trust you to deliver on your promise, I do. Only... I hate waiting. I want that adamantine, and I want it now. We share your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with in the meantime? I wish. This sitting about's unbearable. Pity the Forum frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated. Get you gone, I've mistakes to make. In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally or otherwise. I'm certain there are better uses of your time. However, I will join you in Charlie and Hamlet anon. But I just came from there. Alright. At least this is almost done, I hope. If you wait here, your companions are bound to turn up sooner or later. Let us await. Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Rooks. Thankfully, you don't have to do it more than once if you don't want to. Since one character can do all classes and jobs.
All set, I take it?
We finished what we could. Delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals. Trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Labyrinthos, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have for the most part been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end. For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
Alphino, are you there? It's me, Cryo. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbor at once.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fortuner. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbor. Your presence is requested, with all speed.
We'll see how this goes then.
Now, where might this delivery be? Oh.
Oh.
I'm sure it's very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
By the 12! Surely, these can't all be.
Bleeding hellfire! They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks in these crates.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar here, along with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. An hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Dalamon shard.
I'll have you know I went all the way to the entrance. Furthermore, 'twas my contacts that enabled us to enlist the cooperation of the Sky Pirates.
This guy really doesn't have any bravery. All the way to the entrance.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass.
Take that back.
Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
My, what a grand welcome party.
Hancock and Soroban.
We come bearing relics both sacred and Allegan, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance. Our friends in Bosnia, for instance, have sent along a few artifacts for the brave allies of the Resistance. That's you.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of Rayson Temple. 'Twas passing fortunate that Senri's dango craving brought us to Kugane. We arrived precisely as Hancock was making his arrangements. Upon learning of your need, we made haste back to Hell's Lid, with our dango, never fear, and consulted with the other auspices. All consented to the lending of Tenzin's legendary Phoenix Blade for this noble cause.
It really does feel like the player is being rewarded for every task that they undertook during their adventure. Because comments like that probably would not have shown up if you had not actually gone through that particular sequence.
Suzaku and Seiryu were nevertheless worried that it might be lost in transit, however, and insisted upon accompanying me to Onokoro, where I had intended to entrust it to our Confederate allies. I thought instead to give it over to Hancock when we chanced to cross paths yet again. But alas, Seiryu remained ill at ease, and ordered me see the blade into your hands personally, or die trying.
We did, of course, need quite the impressive vessel to get it all here in time. Fortunately, our majestic associates have been more than helpful. 'Tis an honor to join the Warrior of Light on another adventure, they tell me.
Yeah, I'll agree with you in that sentiment there.
That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future, and thus the East Aldenard Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability. And since the scions funded the entire venture, not a gill need be rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours.
Tataru?
We funded the venture. When?
Don't let the name fool you. This coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts, which is why frugality is paramount. We also had the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement.
Ritra?
She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. We even had coffers to fill.
Mother!
Oh.
Amelions.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full. We can hardly take them with us on your teeny-tiny toy boat, now can we? And would be a shame to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent. Waste not.
However did you manage so much in so short a time, though? We expected word to reach only a fraction of our allies.
Did I not tell you I have my ways?
Erenville, you were involved too.
Probably all the gleaners were.
I received a letter from Cryo after we parted ways in Labyrinthos. She explained what the scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the Gleaners, spread across the world as we are. I pray you do not interpret this as a betrayal of Charlie. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless, undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had, I would have been sorely disappointed. To make a long story short, the whole of the guild ship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
Finally, he enters the picture.
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon?
And Alpha's there too.
And why didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon.
See it? You brought the team.
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship. Oh, I nearly forgot. We stopped by Whirlit before coming here and picked up a package from Gaius.
And even more custom content for
He's still of
completion.
the mind that actions make for better penance than words, contrite or otherwise, so we offer none of the latter. What he sent is an Allegan relic Valens used in his weapons experiments. Has a fair bit of refined adamantite in it too.
As you like us not suspect, we've also brought adamantite from Mordona's Dalamud Shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Kryl's message. So few scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, the Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements. Idleshire's treasure hunters, not least among them.
Idleshire's? Okay, I've always called it idle. Alright.
I know. How the Gobbyflock fought. Slowfix's gratitude for the safe return of his daughter has not waned, and he gathered his kin to our side with an astounding quickness.
Oh, it keeps coming.
The clash between their machina and the Allegan defences was a sight to behold. I wager even you would have been impressed by the magnitude of the gobby booms.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razathan not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you. Though they chose to take their leave of Thavnair, those you saved in Galimund remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better. You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Sommer, and his journey across the great expanse. As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him the strength to persevere. Thinking they might further your cause, I called out to my kin for consent. Ashdai's answer was silence, as ever. Tiamat and Chrisvelgre, however, responded favorably to the suggestion. My sire, too, stirred from his slumber long enough to speak and say, "Very well."
So then he's doing okay.
Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So I invited myself along.
Bugger me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again. Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no, 10, no, 14 bleeding percent. Think of how far we could go. what we could do with that much power! What we could blow up!
Priorities!
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the scions' end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Yes, Father?
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Then I will bear it with you. I beg you, share your struggles with me, as family. You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. 'Twas love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming, and a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great Exodus would succeed, must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisoix openly decried Charlian's policies, a perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool, perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never bring myself to keep you apart. No, that was his doing, when he perished at Carteneau. As we pulled that twisted slab of Dalamud from the sea, I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger and so much wiser than I dared dream. You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love. And none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed. All that we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels. Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to?
Amelians. Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well. I assumed that it was the scions' influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger. Yours, in particular. I see now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
If we've finished loitering about the harbor, might I suggest we put our plans into motion? People are beginning to look confused.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You've no small number of friends and admirers here, after all.
With me!
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
That was a beautiful scene. Both giving the player recognition of everything they had done, plus just finally seeing their father break down like that. That was absolutely beautiful. Alright. Let's see. Let us, see what's next here on this quest. We finally managed to clear the harbor, which means the rest is in the engineer's capable hands. Meanwhile, Father has issued to us an invitation. As was agreed, he will reveal the means by which Heidelin may be contacted. We are to meet him at Aporia when we're ready. Given the vital knowledge she holds, I suggest we leave without delay. It transpires, however, that the Forum's method for speaking with her is not without risks. I'm curious to hear what those might entail, but regardless, be warned. Most of those who arrived with the Adamantite have offered to stay and see to any remaining tasks that need doing. The Forum has already asked for my assistance in overseeing the process, so you needn't worry about a thing. Thank you, Tataru. We're off to Aporia then. Alright, so we've got a little bit of a long walk ahead of us here. And the music is back. I never put on the new gloves. Let me get those on now. Here we go. And continuing on. I still need to get a new headpiece at some point. Oh, did I never pick this one up? Alright. Well, I'm gonna attune to it now, then. Prince, I have already shown the others inside. You will want to speak with Claire Lane. She has the key to the lift and can send you down after me. Alright, down to the lower levels. From here, we proceed to the heart of Labyrinthos and its most closely guarded secret, Thaumazean. It marks the beginning and end of our efforts, whence we delve to seek audience with the star, and whence we will embark on our journey to the heavens. This way, if you please. And there's the ship. I bid you welcome to Thaumazean. Direct your attention towards its center to behold the ark over which we have long labored. As you can see, 'twas designed as a medium-sized craft, the better to reduce fuel consumption. Miniaturizing magics have been applied to its interior to ensure that the thrust-to-weight ratio does not place too great a limitation on its freight capacity. The Aether Burner, as you know, has been removed for further modification, but we shall reattach it soon enough. I have received word that Kokol and several of your allies are working on it with an intense fervor. They are sure to see it done. 'Twas by their expertise that many a prior disaster was averted. If anything, I fear they will not afford us much time for speaking with Hydaelyn ere they finish. Point taken. Let us move on. I must warn you again, however, that even with the benefit of our device, to treat with her is not a simple feat. I have done what I can to impress upon you the gravity of what lies ahead. Are you prepared? And there's a new helmet. Oh! Okay. That's interesting. How did that happen? I thought Yoshi P said this shouldn't happen if you just focus on the main scenario quest. Alright. Well, in that case, I guess I'm gonna have to run a roulette or two here in that case. But before I do that, I've been going for quite a bit here, so I do want to take a quick 3 to 5 minute break, at which point we will run through some of those, and then we'll actually be able to proceed with the story here. So please stand by, everyone. I will be right back.